And we're back with our guest for today, the WIZE. How are you doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. It's a nice day. Very cold. Well, yesterday was very cold.
Today's good. Today's
I feel
acceptable.
like yesterday we got yesterday was so much that today is warm for everyone.
Oh, yesterday was disrespectful. Disrespectful at the highest order. Disrespectful.
Came too fast.
Yeah, it's too early still for me anyway. I'm a summer person. So. But so tell everyone watching individually who you are and what you do.
All right, so we are an R&B hip hop group, if we want to break it down to its basic equation. We are also instrumentalists, performers, and artists in our own right. Myself, I'm a poet, songwriter, hip hop artist, and stage performer.
So my name is Darissa. I am the female vocalist in the WIZE. Super happy. We really want to go back to old school and to our root. Jamal says it more like root school. We don't like putting an expiration date on music, so that's really where we're trying to lean on, and we're glad to be doing it in a city like Ottawa.
Yep, I'm Jay Baskin, singer of the group, male dancer. Like they said, we're trying to bring the old school back, and I'm just trying to keep the popular vibe inside it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did the group come about? Like, how did you guys form the WIZE? Like, how did y'all meet? Like, how did y'all say this is what we're gonna do? How did y'all come about?
Well, I got a message from the producer that we're working with, Rudy Charles, and they had seen me perform at Express Yourself at People, and they liked the vibe that I had, the music that I was playing. I was playing acoustic guitar, and then I got a Facebook message saying, "Hey, we really dig your vibe. Do you want to kind of jam with us? See what you can bring to the table?" And I was a little bit reluctant because I was like, I've never done any jam or sang with anybody like that. I've done choir and stuff, but it was very different. And I've always been that kind of kid that sang Brandy songs, Beyonce, Keisha Cole. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. We got a spoken word artist. We got a male vocalist. I was like, for sure. So that's kind of came about for me.
Okay.
I think it all came about a little bit differently for myself.
Yeah.
Rudy Charles hit me up about 3 years ago, talked to me about creating a certain type of vibe in the city, and setting the tone for great artistry, and how he wanted me to help him curate that. And we tossed some ideas back and forth, looked at some different artists we wanted to work with. And Ottawa's, not known to be a hip town, like a happening town, but it actually really is. Mm-hmm. And so that's what Rudy was trying to do. He was trying to bring that to the spotlight so that, one, the artists in the city can appreciate what we have, the gems that we have, and two, we can put ourselves on the map in the city for more than just, individuals like Belly, Masari, and some of the great artists that have come out of Ottawa and who are currently coming out of Ottawa right now. So from working with Rudy and going back and forth and going through different artists, it ended up, seeing Darissa perform, hearing about JB and some of the amazing work that JB does, and then they both decided to let's make it happen. Let's put it together.
What about for you, JB? I want to know exactly how.
Me, for myself, I got a phone call from Rudy telling me that he was getting a group together, and he heard what I did before. I was doing my solo thing back in Gatton. I was like, everybody was trying to get me to do choruses. So I know I got a popular vibe doing the hooks. So he called me saying that maybe I should come over and see how it goes. I didn't know what I was getting into, but right now it's probably the best thing ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh. And well, I guess I want to ask you, Darissa.
Yeah.
So you're in a group, with two males.
Yeah.
How, what is it like, to be the female of the group?
Watch
I'm
what you say now.
No, for real. I'm very. I don't see it like that as much because I'm very inspired by them both differently. Especially Jamal when it came with spoken word. I never really knew what that was. I've heard of it, and I've always been a big fan of comment and stuff like that. So to see someone in my city doing it the way Jamal was doing, I would listen actively in his words, how he created his sentences. That helped me a lot songwriting. It helped me a lot with structuring my own songs or taking my ideas and putting them on and creating this story with it. So I really got inspired by Jamal like that. And with JB, his hooks and the way he layers his vocals, that was so inspiring because it's very smooth, it's very nice, and he can also go hard as well. So I never really saw myself as like, oh, I'm the female, I'm excluded or anything like that. I was just like, how can I get inspired by them? How can they help me bring what's inside of me that they already have? So I kind of saw it more like that instead of being more intimidated by them.
Okay, are you satisfied?
I am very satisfied.
Good.
That's exactly what
Yeah, it is.
And guys, I don't think you can see. We need to do like Wendy Williams and get shoe cam, but Teresa has very.
Oh my god!
nice-
Oh my god!
Uh-oh.
Guys, he's so sweet, so sweet. Can I get up? Can I get up? Show you. Aldo, guys, it's the sales representatives that sold it to me. I put it on once, and they were just like, "Girl, you got to get those." I'm like, "Okay, bring me to the table." Show me, gave me. She
Wise
also sold me
choice.
that spray too. I was like, "Fine, I'll just get it." Fine.
Yeah. You know they really
Well,
sold you
green.
if you get the spray.
Yep, no, for sure.
So-
Aldo, guys.
So my question now is, let's talk about a bit about Ottawa, right? Let's talk about, I would say, like you said, a good point, and I heard you over talk over there, and I could sense the passion for music. I could sense artistry. It's a word you said repeated times. Talk to me about the state of the music of Ottawa in terms of R&B, because when I see you three together, it brings me so much joy. Because I know talently, because you know what's funny? I somewhat seen Jay here and there. At first, I thought he was a rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my
He's
man,
got bars, don't let
No,
like-
for real.
like my man came in. I'm like, oh snap, yeah, he sing what for real? Just talk to me about just overall in terms of like the R&B landscape, right? Like the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
From what I understand, I mean, I'm an R&B head in the sense that I love R&B. I don't practice it enough to consider myself an R&B artist, but I can write R&B songs. But in this city, what I've come to understand for R&B, it's underappreciated and undervalued. We have supremely talented vocalists in this city that I've come across. People I can mention. I think we have the best female vocalists and male vocalists in the city, sitting right here, mind you, and that's me being biased. But when it comes to the R&B scene in the city, people love R&B, but they don't know how to put it into the culture and include it in the culture within the arts and entertainment and events, part of the scene. And so we find it often that whenever we're taking in R&B in this city, it's only for a throwback. And I think that's something that's, to me, that's sad, that we're only trying to engage with the R&B sector and the R&B art form as a throwback, when R&B, when you look at it now, pop music heavily consists of R&B music, right? It carries the essence of R&B popular music right now, right? A lot of rappers are moving towards the R&B style of performance. And so for the WIZE, while a lot of people consider us old school, I personally don't like using that term because it comes with a definition. For us, it's like, how do we carry the essence of good, beautiful, soulful music, timeless music, right? That can capture audiences from different demographics and different ranges, right? Because if you want to, I don't like to use the word good, but effective, right? Artistry or effective music, right? Will be timeless and will be able to reach more than just one demographic. And so that's what we're trying to do. How do we take the elements of all the things that are popular, that are traditional, and weave them into something that is holistic? So when people hear the WIZE, they're like, that's the truth, right? This is why we call ourselves the WIZE, right? When something's wise, it's grounded in truth.
And this is where I want to segment for my next question is individually, right? You guys have, I would say, there's a certain process you guys take to make music. Now you guys are three. How's the process to make music? How does that go about? Is there, for example, a chick could be like, "Okay, I got this dope ass verse." You'd be like, "I'm not sure," and then you could be like, "I'm not too sure." How do you guys come about when it comes to music creating?
I think that's how it is. Like, first of all, we listen to the beat a lot. Like, since we've been all together, we listen to the beats from the beginning to the end, trying to find an idea, what we see on the beat. And then if somebody come up with something, we just follow the lead.
Right.
That's how it is. Right now, see, like the last 3 songs, that was it. We just listened to the beat, got an idea, went with it, and just matched.
And particularly with Semo, we actually got advice from Rudy he messaged me and was just like, I just want you to write me a 16. I don't even want you to think of a melody. I don't want you to think of a beat. I just want you to write me a 16. Just something that you're tired of doing, something you want to let off your chest. And I think he gave that advice to all three of them. And then after that, when we looked at our text together, we were just like, okay, now you can write a song. So we're like, oh, okay, dope. So that was one of the processes that we've gone through. And with a lot of songs, sometimes it can be very different. Sometimes it's we got a hook, and then now we kind of got to work on the verses or whatever it is. So there's just a lot of playing around and listening, like JB was saying, and creating something pretty cool altogether.
I think that's something that makes it special about how we create too, because I'm in a hip hop group and I've been in some crews before, and it's like, oh, the producer hits you up, the engineer hits you up, I got a beat for you, and this would sound good like this, and there's a lot of pre-structuring already. Whereas I'm thankful that with this group, there's not that much pre-structuring. It might be a small prompt to go with, a small like, oh, here's a thought or an idea, or let's try to arrange something that reminds us of a time. And then we have freedom to now create and conceptualize from there. Whereas I find like a lot of hip hop crews that I've been involved with, it's like the engineer hits you up, I got a beat, you come in, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to lace this with this type of verse, and then it's all said and done. I think when it comes to working and the craft, you want to wine and dine your work a little bit. You want to experiment, and artists forget that the process of experimentation is actually, you know, the what you should be holding up high, not the end result all the time. It's about creation, right?
My father's best advice was always never rush music. You can't rush music.
Exactly. That's what makes it real.
Yes.
Well.
Right.
Every time you take your time to do something, you really put yourself into it. It makes it real.
Yeah. Well, I have to say for Samo, you know, when I was approached, the video was shared and I watched it. The first thing I thought about when I watched it was Destiny's Child. You know why? Because of the rooms. They have a song with the different rooms. Is it Say My Name, I think?
Yeah.
That's what I thought about. I was
Yeah.
like, this is so cool. And in each, like, in watching each of you, you could tell that there's so much emotion when you sing. And so the next question, this ties into my next question. Well, like, what inspires you? Like, do you have anyone that inspires you in what you do in your craft?
Oh, that's so tough.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's
it's a tough one.
I think it'd be easy at this
Yeah.
point.
I get inspired a lot lyrically by Lauryn. A lot. I studied her music ever since I was a little kid. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the greatest female album that's ever been created. And I can fight you on that. Seriously. And I just try to tap into this place where I feel very vulnerable and that I don't like to share. And sometimes it's best for me to let it out musically. So that's how kind of I get my inspiration. I try not to reserve myself or stay too shy when it comes to expressing yourself, because there's so many different ways of forming. You never know, if you write something, it could help somebody else. And one of my favorite quotes forever will be, every move, every step you take is into a footprint bigger than your own. So looking at it like that is when I talk about my story, I'm not only talking about me, I'm talking for probably somebody else out there. So I kind of try to get into that mindset.
In terms of album, is there an album coming soon? Is there a big project coming soon for you three?
Well, yeah, there is a project.
There is.
There is. That's what it is.
Long time in the making.
Yeah, so we got a project coming up, the WIZE project. I can't remember. Maybe we won't even release it. Oh yeah, I remember what we're gonna call it now. But we're not gonna release it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a promotional tool later on. But this album's gonna be. I believe in this album. I believed in it from the first time I was approached about it from Rudy. And as the process has continued and we've grown as artists too, we understand how each other and our gifts that we bring to the table. With this album, I truly believe that it's going to set a landscape of. It's going to bring in different listeners to understand looking at art and engaging with music in a different way. Because, you know, the mainstream will always be there. That they'll always be there. But to forget about that gem that drives, that the mainstream uses to put itself on a pedestal, right, is kind of like a disrespect. So for us, we were trying to earn the respect back as craftsmen and craftswomen and artists. Earn that respect, not just follow a trend or a pattern. Because how did you earn your stripes in that cipher, in that sphere, in that arena, right? So for us, we're trying to earn our respect. When JB creates his hooks, right, and he matches it somehow, like when JB throws us these choruses and somehow he's able to match it with the style the rest of them are bringing, they're just like, I don't even know how you pulled this off. You know what I mean? Because we're not coming with something that's pop oriented or mainstream oriented. So the WIZE album is coming. We've had to rearrange the date, and that's because we all have very busy lives as artists, right? And we
Yeah.
have to respect that. Like Doris said, don't rush the path, don't rush the music. You know?
Yeah. And well, of the songs that you have out, because you have a few, I've listened to them on Spotify. Thank God you guys are on Spotify. 'Cause I don't use iTunes. But what do you have a favorite song of yours?
I'm not in This Is How the Story Goes, but I really like this song.
Yeah.
This song to me is like number one hit
Wow.
right now. The rest of it,
You're really good with your voice.
Oh, so
That
sweet.
was
Thank
the
you.
song that, when we were approached about you guys, like to be on the Power Circle, it was a song that we had to listen to.
Yeah.
And that night, it was late at night. It must have been like 10. I was like, Sabrina, we have to email, like,
Right now.
Word,
Oh, yeah.
word.
What about you two?
For me, I mean, if I had to choose between these three songs, it's hard. It's difficult to choose between the three. All three of them, That's How the Story Goes, Keep on Moving, and Same Old, bring out a different element and vibe from each of us. But I kind of like KOM because I like how we put together KOM with the different instrumentation. If I was to look at it from a standpoint, like it was a challenge for us to create that type of song because we know that the African Caribbean sound is a really popular sound right now. So we wanted to be authentic and true to, if we're going to put out a song that has a djembe player in it, plus jazz elements, we wanted to hit bang on. And so writing for that, and like I said, it's not about always the end result. The process too, I love the process of creating KOM, shooting the video. I just felt like when we dropped the KOM, it was like, yeah, now they're gonna know and understand, or whoever they are, that the WIZE, we don't joke when it comes to putting this type of music together. It's really a team effort, and we're also trying to bring other artists onto the scene by working with individuals in the city that are creative too.
That was really cool. That was a really cool element
Yeah.
in the video. That was one thing that I noticed too. I saw, Peterson. I saw other few, and I was like, so they're bringing a lot of other like people, artists in the city.
Everybody in that video is an artist.
Yeah.
That's
prolific
yeah.
at that too. Yeah.
That was really cool.
Well, my question here is for Jay. I got two questions. My first question would be exactly like, how do you go about the hook writing? Like, how's your process? What do you go through? And then as well as that, you have a big following in Gatineau. And what do we not know about Gatineau? Because I've been figuring out about these rappers in Gatineau, and it's like, like Gatineau's. This is like Gatineau. Like, this is what it is.
no. Seriously, Gatineau. Well, I wouldn't say it's not the place to make music, but the thing is, I used to dance a lot. I had a dance group called Dream Team, and that's how people got to know me first. So I was dancing, and went all around. Pretty much, we went all around Canada, and from the dance, I started to sing, and the group got. It was kind of hard to stay together because everybody had busy life. We were getting older. Some had kids and everything. So to answer your question, the hooks, I only go by feelings and what I know already. So like I said, I'm trying to keep the popular vibe, and every time, like back in the day, I used to do freestyle and I used to sing songs, do covers, and these covers got me experience in the hooks, because when you listen to R&B, the music stays in your head. It makes it stays in your head like the memory of everything. Like let's say when I listen to Ray Charles, Ray Charles is really authentic. It's original. Everything, there's nothing computer, right? So I go by the melody, and then with the melody, I put the lyrics on to how I feel about this melody, this particular melody. And then if it goes, it goes. And it never goes like, I wouldn't say never. It never goes right the first time, but when it does, it's so quick and it's so right, you just feel it, and then you spill it out. You just want to tell everybody, like, yo, listen to this thing I just made up. It sounds great.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes.
Wow,
Perfect.
this was such. I started listening to you guys. It's like so soothing. Can you not see it though?
Yeah, 100%. And like we take pride,
Yeah.
and this is like all the interviews. We always call it timeless because it's like time stops.
Yeah.
And this is a moment where we just have a chance to be like, this is historical. You see what I'm saying? Seeing where you guys came from,
Yeah.
and then all putting that that perfect picture in together. Because now I feel like I can see where you're from, where you're from, and just how y'all came together. You see what I'm saying? It's destiny. You know what I'm saying? This is the WIZE, everybody. Always
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Thank
Do you
you.
guys want to
Thank
shout
you.
out to anyone?
Big shout outs.
First of all, shout out to the Power Circle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The
Yes,
Power
sir.
Circle.
Power
Thank you for
Circle.
having us.
Thank you.
I want to shout out to all the greats that came before us. So rest in peace, Prince. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Bob Marley. And also to all the ancestors that came before us that allow us to do what we do.
Well, I'd like to shout out the whole city, Ottawa. You guys have been so great to be into the group as well. But we're rising, honestly. And if you ever think that because of the city or nothing's popping right now, you can't do anything, it's actually that's supposed to give you inspiration and to do something great. So shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing for supporting us. Keep doing what you're doing. And yeah.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that's listening to the Power Circle right now. Yeah, this is the thing. And shout out to Rudy for putting us
Yes.
together,
Yeah,
putting the projects together.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, man.
Wes for helping us, to
WIZE.
Pat. Yes.
And where can everyone find you? So on social media, the music, all that stuff.
That's correct. So Instagram, where we are the WIZE. That's correct.
The WIZE official.
The Rise Official,
Yeah.
as well as Twitter. Our music is on Spotify as well, SoundCloud, and Facebook.
We got
Facebook,
yeah.
The WIZE.
So the regular social media
That's
platforms.
WIZE. THEWIZE.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you guys so
Bye.
much.
It was nice to connect
Yes.
and get to know each of you. Do you want to say anything?
Man, thank you guys so much. Honestly, like me, like I'm a big fan. I'm just a big fan. You know what I'm saying? I love music. I love poetry. R&B I'm an R&B guy. You see what I'm saying? I hit shot with that little Taylor Swift, you know? That's the most I can do. So that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank you guys so much.
We'll be back in a bit, guys.